Well, I'd like to speak this morning again on the topic of prayer. We've said in the past that prayer is necessary for us as Christians. It is not an option. We need to do it. Last week we spoke about how we need to be persevering in our prayer. Today's gospel, Jesus tells us that our prayer has to be humble. It can't just be us bragging about ourselves to God. But what I'd like to speak about today is how and when to pray. So with some practical tips. There's really like two settings for prayer. One, when we intentionally set aside time to pray. For example, coming to Mass. What a great thing that is. But also like our morning prayers, or praying the rosary as a family, or going to adoration, something like that. In those times, we intentionally set everything else aside and go to pray. And sometimes we even go to different places. For example, a church or the adoration chapel, or gather around a special place in our home or something like that. And that's very good. We need to do those things. We need to have time set aside to pray. But what about the rest of our life? And that's what I want to speak about today. How can we incorporate prayers into the rest of our days? And it is certainly possible, because a lot of the things that we do in our life doesn't require all of our mental capacities. Some things we do by muscle memory, household tasks, washing the dishes, doing laundry, painting, chores outside on the farm. All of these things us are free to wander wherever we want. And it's during those times then we can pray. And these prayers that punctuate our day are called aspirations. Aspirations, that's with an A, not an I. And the word aspiration comes from the Latin word to breathe, because it should be something that is natural and also short. They need to be mini prayers. Why? Because oftentimes our attention span is very short too. So for example, over in the school, they have at all the sinks, there's a little sign. It's kind of cute. It says, "Say a Hail Mary while you wash your hands." Well, that's a great idea. Start to wash my hands. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. And it's like, what am I having for lunch today? Or that light's out in the bathroom here. And our mind can wander very easily. So these prayers that punctuate our day need to be very brief, short, maybe less than 12 words. We have an example in the gospel today. This man, this tax collector, he says this prayer, "O God, be merciful to me, a sinner." It's very short, something we could easily say, and hopefully we could get to the end of that sentence without getting distracted. And so what are some examples? One of the things we can do is we can have like cues that remind us to say some of these things. For example, we leave our house and we think of the words of St. Paul, "Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel." That way we know that our words, our actions express Christ. Or when we come home and we think to ourselves the words from the book of Joshua, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Or we're driving down the street past the church and we say, "Sacred Heart of Jesus, have mercy on me." Or we see a cross and we say, "Lord, have mercy on me." Or we're climbing up into the tractor and we say, "Thanks be to God." Or something goes wrong in our life. We receive some amount of bad news and we say to ourselves, "Blessed be God," or "Thy will be done." Or we drive past a cemetery and we say, "Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord." And on and on and on. There are all sorts of things. I'm not suggesting that you try to do all of those things. I'm suggesting that you just think about some of those. Or you could just pick one phrase and then throughout the day try to repeat it. Maybe set a goal. I want to say this 5 times during the day. Jesus, Mary, I love you, save souls. And so what do we say? Well, there's a lot of different options. All of the ones that I just mentioned, they gave me this one of my first years in seminary, and you can see it's front and back, lots of different prayers. I printed off some copies and put them in the back and the side if you want to look at that. Or you could say something very simple like the name of Jesus. That's a prayer in itself. Or you can make up your own words as long as you pray them with fervor. So that's what we should do. And how often should we do these things? Well, let me give you some examples. They would do these things a lot. St. Philip Neri, one of the things that he did was say, God, come to my assistance, Lord, make haste to help me. And he would say that hundreds of times during the day. St. Patrick, our holy patron, used to do this. St. Margaret of Cortana, she must have had a good attention span, because it was said that she would pray 1,000 Our Fathers throughout the day for all these different intentions. And she would pray for the conversion of sinners. And the priests that were in her town had to come up to her and say, Margaret, can you slow down on the prayers? Because they were getting overworked by the amount of people that were coming to them. And there are lots of other examples. St. Gertrude, her favorite one was that little line from the Our Father, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so all of these different people said these prayers lots and lots and lots of times. So do we have to say them lots and lots and lots of times? Well, no. But we should start somewhere and set a goal for 5 times a day and try to keep track of that. And then once that's become a habit, say, I'll do it 10 times a day. And if we can increase those things and punctuate our day with prayer, then our life will have that habit. We will have a spirit of prayer in our life, and it will be so important for us. Even though I received this piece of paper 12 years ago now, I'm just coming to realize how important these things are. So I too am going to try to work on this and include these prayers in my life. Aspirations, short mini prayers that we say throughout the day, because they can be very beneficial to us and they can bring a great amount of blessing to our life. And you can imagine the amount of peace that it will bring to us if we are able not only to pray at special times, but to pray when we do all sorts of other things, and to lift our minds and hearts to God throughout the day. It's very pleasing to Him and very beneficial to us. So my suggestion today is, let's make a resolution to try it.